The Evolution of Life. Xiefeng. August 16, 2005. Translated by Transin. Life is a non-material structure with spirituality, and its evolution is based on changes of the life body's material structures, which does not mean the visible material flesh, but the microscopic material structure of the flesh. There are not many differences among people's physical bodies and shapes, so we can be led to believe that everyone is nearly the same, but there are actually many differences among different people in the microscopic structures of human bodies. The Buddha's relics left behind after some eminent monk's death are obvious examples. We cannot see the tiny changes of these microscopic material structures because the motion and changes of the microscopic world cannot be seen directly and clearly. If we judge the subtle changes of life structures by our experiences and cognitions in our daily lives, then we can never understand the evolution of life. The evolution of life is a gradual changing process. Without gradual changes, the motions and changes of material does not exist at all. Everything is changing constantly, and as long as these changes continue, the microscopic structures of the materials will keep evolving. The gains and losses of the electrons and atoms generate the disintegration and recombination of molecules. All the changes of material microscopic structures need effects from either internal or external forces. Applying this law to people, the internal force is the mental activity or the thinking and conscious activities such as the psychological activity caused by the 7 emotions and 6 sensory pleasures of joy, anger, grief, depression, and the others, and the external force might be sunshine, sound waves, magnetic forces, heat, coldness, and others. There are specific corresponding motion states between any pair of molecules. Some molecules such as limestone and water react violently to each other, but others such as water and oil are not nearly reactive. This means that all the motions and changes of matter have to observe their laws. A lustful man's blood will surge, his heartbeat will accelerate, his palms will sweat, and his speech will become uncoordinated when he sees a sexy, underclad woman. However, his body will not produce any such reaction from seeing a pig, not even a sexy one that is lactating. Life's evolution progresses in the following ways. In the case of people, as long as there are small movements of internal and external forces, human bodies are likely to produce corresponding changes of composition and decomposition at the microscopic level. Then, after those changes, their corresponding life non-material structures will change accordingly. The tiny changes of non-material structures represent the evolution of life. When these tiny advances accumulate to a certain amount and reach saturated conditions, then the non-material structure of the whole life will reach a stable state on another level, and then another life structure will begin to evolve. One example is that when the atomic structure of a person obtains electrons continually and the amount eventually reaches 900, added to their intrinsic 100, their non-material structure as person will disintegrate and they will have taken a qualitative leap and attained the non-material structure of a celestial being. At this very moment, they will have reached death as a human being but be born as a celestial being. Another example is when the atomic structure of a person continually loses electrons. We can suppose that they lose 6 electrons for publicizing ghosts and monsters and polluting people's spirituality, for electrons for concocting various pretexts to force someone to bribe, 3 electrons for taking pleasure in other people's misfortune and ruining their success, 2 electrons for destroying mountains and woodlands, digging grasses, and filling ponds, 2 electrons for passing the buck to self-hold and shift their misfortune onto others, 1 electron for envying others' honor and high status and expecting others of falling in bad luck, and finally 1 electron for beating their spouse and nagging their sons and breaching etiquette toward elder family members. At this point they will have lost 19 electrons in total. The number of their electrons remaining will only be 81, 100 minus 19 is equal to 81. At this moment, the structure of their life will be approaching that of a dog, and if they lose 1 more electron, then they will die immediately and reincarnate as one because their life structure as a human being will have degraded to that level and they will no longer be able to exist as a person. This is why some people die suddenly in their youth, others die suddenly in car accidents, and still others die suddenly from heart attacks. Their number of electrons reaches the number of a higher or lower life structure at that moment and they, in whatever way, have to begin a new life journey. Some aged people suffer for prolonged periods of time with illnesses in beds. This is because their number of electrons is changing too slowly, and in such situations they should not linger in the human world, but try to start their new journey ASAP. The bad solution would be to curse others, blaspheme the gods and Buddha, and abuse children. The good solution would be to wish for world peace, pray for everyone could live a happy and blessing life, may those who used to hurt them enjoy happy futures, and long to go to the Elysium world themselves. They had better invite people who have good knowledge of 36-dimensional space, life transmigration theory to interpret the details and sceneries of higher-level life spaces in order to help them forget about their merits and demerits in this life, rid all of their sufferings in this mortal world, let go of all their unfulfilled wishes, and start a new journey with neither worries nor regrets. Occasionally, at the moment of a life's reincarnation, special situations occur. For example, someone's number of electrons might have reached the number needed for a new life structure, but their new life home has not yet become ready. They have to put up with it and wait temporarily, usually for less than a month. This is just like a person who wants to move but their new house is not ready to accommodate them, so they have to remain in their old one for a short time. Where is the new residence? The new residence refers to the anode black hole body in 36-dimensional space, namely the womb. When a fetus enters into the womb, it becomes a new residence. From time immemorial, people have always thought of fetuses as lives, but they are actually not. Fetuses are just residences, not lives. Fetuses will not be lives until a reincarnated life enters into this residence through a space tunnel in 36-dimensional space. Generally speaking, a fetus will have life within only a few days before the baby is born. But some fetuses will be born a few days later than the expected date of childbirth because no life has entered into this residence quite yet. The number of humans on the earth is increasing quickly because the number of animals is decreasing proportionally. A large number of animals that have been killed by people have made great contributions to humans and have accumulated merits and virtues. As a result, these animals will reincarnate as humans, but the vast majority of people have not killed animals, so they cannot reincarnate as animals after they die. Therefore, the diminished number of animals will not be replenished in time. If such situations continue, the ecological system's balance will be broken and humans may face the greatest calamity at any time. There are 3 ways to correct such an imbalance. 1. People could evolve towards the high-level life space and go to the 1,000-year world and the 10,000-year world so as to reduce their numbers. 2. People could self-awaken. They need to control the continuous growth of their population, protect and let animals reproduce and develop, and transfer some people forcibly down to the animal level in order to maintain the ecological balance. Those people who are forcibly transformed downward will certainly be treated unjustly, but do not worry for them because the greatest creator will deposit large stocks of wealth in their banks, and when the ecological balance stabilizes, they will be reborn back into the human world with high positions and great wealth as compensation. 3. If the above 2 solutions do not work, then the third one will come. Pestilence, war, and starvation will eliminate some people so as to relieve the ecological imbalance. Apart from that, there is a special solution, the coming of the last phase of an age, which was warned by Jesus and Sakyamuni. In that situation, every phenomenon in heaven will vibrate, the sun will blacken, the moon will no longer illuminate, and everyone will be scared to death. The emergence of Lifechanyuan is to enlighten people to avoid the coming of the last phase of the age. Gods and Buddhas are humane and the greatest creator loves humanity. Now, so much about the evolution of life, you will have to figure the rest out for yourself. All scientists, philosophers, thinkers, and statesmen are welcome to join in this discussion and argue whether I am correct. If you do not agree, fine. Just continue to carry on in your old lifestyles.